Fellas. Fellas.
And all of that. Very much a capitalist. I think that
Fellas, fellas, fellas.
economic.
Where are they? Oh, I accidentally clicked cast.
Organization does a really good job at allocating money to different sectors very efficiently. Very big on like social democracy. I think that the government should be involved in kind of like funneling and channeling a lot of the desires of society. So providing incentives for green energy so that capital markets can invest appropriately. Yeah, I'm pretty open socially. Like I'm cool with LGBT people and all that. Very big on free speech. Like I think that platforms are probably a little bit too heavy-handed right now in banning and censoring people for ideas they don't want discussed. Yeah, I kind of am.
What are these fundamental moral positions that you have? Like some of the main biggest ones, or most important ones that you hold closest to you, that you develop these political ideologies from?
At the very fundamental level, like I perceive myself as a person that has some set of preferences or desires. I perceive that everybody else is about like 99% matched on those. We all basically want the same thing. And then from there, I try to like build out like what are the things and agreements that I can make with other people to make sure that all of us are kind of like working together in a way that keeps everybody as happy, healthy, and functional as possible. So everything kind of builds up from there.
Kind of utilitarian?
I mean, you could argue that, sure.
Where do you think you got those beliefs?
I think when I was like 16, 17, I used to be really Catholic growing up. And I kind of lost my religion through high school, just through whatever normal growing process, asking questions, not getting satisfactory answers. And in the process of kind of losing that religious foundation for life, I kind of had to think of what other foundation I could find. I read a lot of Ayn Rand, and I realized after like a year of that, that I really liked it. And then at the end, I was like, well, maybe I just like this because I read the first author after becoming an atheist, and this is just who I happen to like. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to put that aside, and I'm really going to think for myself, like, what do I think is important in life? What do I think is important for other people? And I try to figure out kind of like these fundamental principles, and then any political position, rather than inheriting it from like some political group or my family or my country or whatever, I try to think the best of like, well, what do I think is like a good universal rule for society to make people happy and healthy?
Have you always been a really deep thinker like that?
I might say as a deep thinker. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a geek and nerd, I guess, yeah.
But you seem kind of like a skeptic to certain things. Like if you hear some sort of information like the Ayn Rand thing, like you kind of supported it, but then you beg the question to yourself, like, well, do I really support this? Like you said, because it's the first book that you read after becoming atheist or whatever. What in you do you think causes you to be so critical or open-minded, I would say, to those things? Like questioning your own ideology, questioning the other things that people tell you. Is it something that maybe a value your parents instilled in you when you were a child, or is it just maybe the way you biologically are?
I'm gonna be honest, I got really lucky. I took an AP psychology class in high school. And that class, like half the class is just learning about how much your brain lies to you about things, like the different biases you have, the different ways you search for information, the different ways you remember selectively certain things. And that class combined with me becoming an atheist and then engaging with other people that were still very religious. So I saw that like I can't really trust my own brain 100%. And I see other people can have very strong convictions about things that I think they're totally dumb on, they're completely wrong on. So in my mind, I try to have this like underlying sense of not paranoia or self-doubt, but like for every
Bro, why is he mine as a
I try to have
dog?
like good mechanisms in place to make sure that I'm not like getting lost down some dumb shit, I guess. So like here's like a couple of like things that I try to keep in mind. When I'm arguing for a certain debate or arguing a certain position, I always know the arguments on the other side in their best, most powerful stillman form. So often as I'm debating people, I usually know usually their side of the argument better than them. Because I've spent so much time going back and forth on it. Because I think if you don't understand the opposing argument, then your argument could have a lot of flaws, or you could be missing something that you're not aware of. That's one thing. A second thing is, even if I've got a lot of conviction about a certain thing, I'll always ask myself, like, if I feel like I've got a lot of conviction or finally a lot of somebody will tell me like, what would it take to change my mind on a certain position? And if I don't have an answer to that immediately, then I'll realize like my conviction here is too strong. If I can't even think of something that would change my mind. Yeah,
oh wait, maybe Kabu? Does Kabu have it?
Especially now being like an online content creator, it's the easiest way to get lost in like an echo chamber.
Kabu has it, I
You
think.
discredit every outside voice, and you just like circle jerk with your own people, and you would never consider anything different.
How often do you change your beliefs?
Hopefully not too often, otherwise I wouldn't have any. I mean, like, it really depends on the thing. Like, over time, like, I've evolved and changed in some beliefs. Sometimes I'll get posed a really good question or argument, and it'll cause a pretty dramatic shift on something. But, I mean, my beliefs are, like, they're, like, fundamental beliefs are...
Yeah, I think Kabu has it.
...stable, probably for about 15 years. But how those play out in the abstract have changed...
He has it. He has it.
So, like, for instance, like, probably the biggest thing two huge things I've changed on is... One, I used to be, like, my single issue for voting was Citizens United. I thought that lobbying and like finance of elections was like the most important issue in the United States. I had a lot of arguments with a conservative friend over Citizens United, and post that case, and then I actually read what the court case was about, which apparently nobody does. After reading about the court case, and after thinking about it, I realized this is a really, really, really difficult question. And I actually don't think lobbying has anywhere near the impact on policies in the U.S. that most people think it does. So, like, that's something I dramatically changed my mind on.
So I assumed that lobbying does have an impact.
Mhm.
What have you found on your end?
I just don't think it does. Almost, I think that
How do you prove that?
If you want to, well, there's a lot of studies where people try to, like, what they'll do is they'll measure, like, what are the desires of rich people, middle class people, poor people, and then they'll try to figure out, like, who gets their way most of the time when there's, like, political disagreements. I think that when you're looking at like how effective is lobbying, or does lobbying have a big impact on policy, the question that got posed to me that was really interesting was, can you think of any major policy position that the majority of the American people agree on that for some reason can't get passed? Because that would be good evidence of, like, lobbying attacking the will of the American people or something. And I don't think of a single example of that. There are a couple issues where it seems like that's the case. When you dig into the polling data, it's a lot more complicated than you think. Like, the answer I always give is, like, if you poll people on, like, do you think the government should provide healthcare to all of its citizens? The answer to that is 75% people. So it's, like, overwhelmingly like, well, we should have single-payer healthcare, right? But then when you ask the question, should the American government outlaw private insurance and be the sole provider of insurance, support drops to that for, like, 25%. It's like a 50-point difference. And it's like, oh, okay. So sometimes people say, like, oh, all the American people want this thing. But when you actually, like, get into more specific questions, there's actually a lot of disagreement on what the American people like. I think that if lobbying is effective anywhere, lobbying is the most effective on kind of, like, more fringe issues that don't have a lot of attention. That's where you can make the most effort. So, like, if tractors want to lobby to, like, make themselves narrower so that corporations can make more money selling parts or something.
He knows
that would lobby
strength.
effectively because
Jesus.
most Americans don't care about it. So, like, influencing politicians and donating in certain ways might be able to get you some ground there.
The latest one that I saw was about car dealerships that went together and lobbied for less oversight of the loans that they issue, that allows them to issue more than the car's MSRP to consumers at higher interest rates. So, you know, like when you go and get a credit card or a mortgage, a lot of oversight on that. When you go get an auto loan, very little. And that was something they lobbied for.
Sure. But then you have to ask yourself, when they lobby for it,
Oh, I have to do the
most
thing.
Americans would be okay with or not okay with? Because my guess is Americans going, no, or you guys do finance here.
No.
Am I allowed to say Americans are financially so
know that.
stupid?
Yeah, we know that.
So,
Yeah,
like,
it's
my
not-
guess is most Americans would actually probably be in favor of that, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's
yeah.
true.
Mhm.
That's interesting. What are some of the cognitive biases that you learned about in that AP class? I'm really curious. I've always been fascinated by that.
Oh, man, there's so many of them.
What stands out to you the most?
One is there's something called Dunning-Kruger, where basically the idea is that people at really low levels of aptitude dramatically overestimate.
Okay. Grunt un numero uno. I don't know if it's correct to XP share, but whatever. I just realized that Snorlax has counter. No boost, unfortunately. Okay. Yep, knew that was coming. Okay. Quellfish. We got the citrus berry proc. Obviously, this is explosion. I don't think Reflect is worn off yet. This is always Shadow Ball. Fuck. Hold on. Oh, that's within Tim. Yeah, I was like, that's like really low. I think I just go to Donphan and use like Ice Shard. No, I think I'm gonna Endeavor. Okay, I'm gonna Endeavor again. Wait, what? No way. No way. I didn't even know it worked that way. Oh my god, that's so stupid. You can... Fuck. So he went from 170... Leftovers is 116th, right? I mean, it runs over. Yeah, counter always killed me there. Because I did 68 damage to him. Well. Whatever. I don't know. I mean, what was the guy here? Who was our guy? Oh, Hariyama was our guy for sure. But... we're going back to early game, boys. What is this calc? This Donphan. No, it'd be level 30. Oh, you do. Oh, that's so good. Because it's exactly 20, I think. To outspeed Regice. Or, yeah, it's 20. 6. So the GMO also lets you outspeed Ampharos at level 30. Good to know, good to know. This guy's 40. No, not with speed. 30. That's 41. Wait, is anybody watching or whatever? No, no one's in chat, yeah. Wait, what is happening? Why did he walk up to me there? What the fuck just happened? I thought you were supposed to go look at the Pokeball or whatever. Ugh. Max Repel, Rare Candy, R, 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 R. 99. No, what is it? Like full, no. Yeah, full restore. And that's it. Little GMO the fan P. Brum, brum. So I think this part doesn't matter, like, at all. At least on, like, Samu's rules, it doesn't matter. Bro, can you give me the rod? Jesus. So we're kind of just chilling. We're spamming moves. As in, like, you can clause whatever, I think. Oh, you can't, whatever. Oh, the fucking acrobat thing is so dumb. I hate it. I think I still have to go with, like, Samus rules on that. I don't really know. Oh, we should do this. We spam move. Very cool. We probably do like this. No, don't do that to me. Bro, this guy's gonna poison me and I'm gonna die. Oh, do you two-shot with Pursuit? Wow, look at that. There's like a bug catcher guy. I actually might even want to give him... Wait. Whoa! Oh no, it's the loss. I almost called her girl. People are gonna call me a fucking pedophile if I call her a girl though. Oh no, I got Q-charmed? Oh no. We lose, bro. Thank God. Nice bullet seed, loser. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna give him Touch a Berry, because I think he has a Poison Sting. He does have Poison Sting. Dude, they're gonna kill me. I'm actually gonna die. Oh! Okay, I actually lose. How did I not lose? Wow, that's wild. Oh, yeah, whatever. Oh, let's go back to the video.
Their confidence, and people at higher levels of aptitude probably underestimate their confidence. My favorite way to see this play out in real life is if you ask somebody, I don't know if this is the case, but for my life, if you ask somebody like, hey, somebody brings up like Spanish, do you speak Spanish? And somebody's like, Yeah, actually, I speak a pretty decent amount. 99% of the time, somebody gives an answer like that. They took like up to Spanish 3 in high school, and they're like "Donde el biblioteca" or whatever. But I know a lot of people like my mom is a good example. If I ask my mom mom, how good is your Spanish? She'd be like, it's okay. My mom is a fluent Spanish speaker. She just doesn't know some technical terms or whatever. She'll say, oh, it's okay. That like a foreign language, when you ask people, I notice that a lot. That if I ask somebody, do you speak a language? If they're conversationally fluent, they'll be like, I'm okay, because they realize like how much they don't know. That shows up in everything. Usually people have there's like a curve for measuring this, a theoretical curve or whatever, and there's like the little bump in the beginning is called Mount Bullshit. That's where you learn a little bit about a topic, and because you've learned a little, you dramatically overestimate how much you actually know, and then as you learn more and more, you're like, oh, okay, maybe it's a lot more complicated than I initially thought. Some people call that Dunning-Kruger, that's one example. And there's something called a fundamental attribution bias, which is where when you see if there's a group of people that you like and they do something that's maybe not good, you've got a lot of good reasons why they did it. If you see a group of people do something that's not good, they don't get any of that consideration. So classic examples, like I'm speeding to work, I gotta cut somebody, whatever, I have to get to work, I'm driving safe, I'm doing everything I can, right? But if you're driving and you're kind of showing if somebody cuts you off, it's like, what a piece of shit, how dangerous, or blah, blah, blah. Oh, a really good example of this, I think, oh God, I should have the study memorized, but I think there was a study where Republicans were asked to judge whether or not welfare was like okay or not. And I think if you put like a white person on the cover versus a black person, they saw the white person, they were more likely to say like, oh, this guy's probably down in his luck, like he needs a little bit of help, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think it's called fundamental misattribution bias. There's a whole bunch of cognitive biases in terms of like searching for information. Is the classic confirmation bias. So I go to search for information, 10 things pop up, I only see the things that agree with me, and I don't look at anything else. There's so many different things. If you're like research,
I always find it interesting that two people can have the exact same experience, but interpret it entirely differently. The same experience, same time, they're right next to each other, two totally opposite things on that.
Yeah. That's frustrating, but yeah, it happens, yeah.
So let's talk about your philosophy development over time and how it's changed. Because I know that you've said on podcasts before that you had a moment where you were a self-proclaimed red pill person.
Not red pill, maybe libertarian.
Libertarian, was
Sure,
it?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
When I first started streaming a long, long time ago, first of all, I grew up like ride or die Republican. My parents are still ride or die Republicans. All through high school, I was a ride or die Republican. And then when I got to working, I was still kind of like pretty conservative. And then right before I got into streaming, I was probably my most conservative. And then I started streaming. And as I went from being broke to making a lot of money, I started to realize like how totally unfair life was prior to making a lot of money. So over time, over the past like 12 or 13 years, my views have slowly changed to being more left-leaning, basically.
So it caused you making more money to realize how bad it was when you didn't
It's
have.
usually the opposite, right? Usually from what I've seen, it's like the more money you make, the more conservative you tend to get.
I mean, I can understand from a policy position because people
Right.
don't want to like pay taxes maybe,
Right.
but yeah.
So what made you, while you're making money, to realize that maybe these beliefs that I held are not, I don't agree with what specifically?
Well, like, so this is something I believe. I firmly believe that conservatives and liberals, everybody on the planet has like the same fundamental values, and like their first order kind of thoughts are all identical. So they want people to be able to be successful. Most people want people to pursue some sort of career and be successful. Conservatives think that the answer to that is leave people alone, no government intervention, make sure the family is healthy, make sure people have enough encouragement in their own lives to pursue what they want, and give people the freedom to explore that, and they should be able to figure that out on their own, because it's America, anybody can do anything. Liberals, on the other hand, tend to say some people have some systemic inequities, is the word they like to use now, or inequalities that they can't overcome, so the government needs to step in and kind of like give them a push to help them keep up with other people, essentially. But both of these like things, I think, stem from the same place, where conservatives think this is the best way to be happy and healthy, liberals think this is the best way to be happy and healthy. That's the difference between the two. Wait, what was your initial question?
My question was, when you started making money, what changed your belief in
Why did you that from one to the other? I think that I probably started with that conservative position, but then as I made more money, I started to realize that like with a little bit of help, like for certain people things can go way differently, and it would probably benefit literally everybody in society to have that little bit of extra help there. So for instance, when I think of like college or college achievement, in my mind, a kid who can go to college and do well in college, nothing financially should ever stop that person. That just shouldn't be possible. We have the ability to succeed. We need to provide those people all the tools to succeed. You can argue on a moral, ethical level. You can argue on an economics level, because they're going to be a higher taxpayer, contributor to the country, financially, GDP, and all that. that would just be like a really good thing to do. In my conservative days, I would probably think like, well, if you're willing to put in the work, get the grades, get the scholarships, you can do it. But then as I get older, I see like, well, sometimes life is bullshit, sometimes stuff happens. And another thing I noticed was wealthy families' children have a lot of benefits that not wealthy family or poor children don't have, that in a way work like subsidies. They just come from like mom and dad instead of from the government. So like for instance, something I noticed growing up, when you're poor, you have a very, very, very small tolerance for mistakes. Like if you, like if I lived in Omaha, Nebraska, and I drove between Omaha and Council Bluffs all the time. Anybody that's ever been on I-80 going east to west or west to east is potholes all the time. If I pop a tire or God forbid break a wheel, I'm like financially for like 3 months. It's like over. It's the worst thing in the world. So the tolerance for mistakes is really low. Whereas today, I can total my car and go buy another one at a dealership. Like it doesn't matter. So the amount of mistakes that I can make are way different. And normally when you think of, I would critique the conservative perspective, they would say, well, you should be able to pick yourself up and do what you need to do and figure your life out. And if you fuck up, that's your fault. And it's like, I agree if you fuck up, it's your fault. But if you're poor, you can fuck up so many fewer times than people that are wealthy. You've got such a safety net for mom and dad.
Now, I've seen a lot of poor people have more motivation to succeed because they didn't have those things growing up. So they don't take them for granted. They don't ignore them. For them, it's like something to aspire to. Whereas, because I went to both a public and a private school, and I've seen a huge difference between a lot of the private school kids. Most of them did well, but quite a few of them had everything handed to them, and just no motivation whatsoever. Whereas the public school kids, a lot of them ended up in really interesting careers because they would push themselves.
Isn't there a saying that like wealth stops third generation most of the time? Some percentage, it's just gone.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, I don't think that's true at all. No way. I would fight to the death on that. I went to a private school and then I went to a public college, and mine was blown the fuck away when I saw the difference in educational outcomes between kids in college and kids at the public. When I went to high school, my freshman book was called College Algebra, and I thought it was just called it to make us feel smart or whatever. And then when I actually got to college and I realized people didn't take algebra until they were in college, that like blew my mind. I'm sure there are. Here's another cognitive bias. There's something called survivorship bias, to where, if you see like 1,000 people in a pretty area, the only ones you're going to see after some time are the people that made it out. And then it's tempting to say, well, I know a lot of people from really bad backgrounds that made it out like really well, so maybe everybody could do that. And it's like, well, those are probably the exceptions to the rule rather than the rule itself. Like a really good example, I can even think of this in my own family. I am pretty frugal with my money. I drive a $40,000 car. All of the expenses that I have are generally related to like just where I live. Like I've got like I think $5,000 a month apartment. And then other than that, and then travel for work. I don't like spend any money on anything. I have sweatpants. I got my own merch on. I don't buy a lot of shit. I just don't. So I save all my money. The reason why I do that is because when I grew up in my family, I'm sure you guys have heard of lifestyle creep. That's like a way of life for my whole family. Make some money, get some more debt, make more money, more liabilities, make more money. That's like everybody in my family does that. And I think everybody picked up financial habits from my parents. I saw what everybody else was doing. I was like, I'm going to do the exact opposite because it sounds horrible. So you could look at me and go, oh, well, look, see, because your parents are so kind of like financially bad, you became really financially good. So like maybe that was good for you. And I was like, maybe, but the rest of my like 6 siblings are financially horrible. So I'm probably the exception there rather than the rule.
How much of that do you think just comes down to the person, though? That's just who they are, that you gravitate towards, that you naturally gravitate towards saving. That's just you in a nutshell versus your environment.
I mean, it's the reality is there's probably like a really complicated influence of environmental factors that kind of shape you as you grow up, along with some biological ones. And who's to say like what is the thing or not that pushed you in one direction? Like maybe because I played a lot of RPGs growing up and I saved all of my potions for like the final boss. Maybe that's why I don't spend my money. Like I don't know. Maybe
It's funny. I was the same way.
Yeah.
Of course, I was the same way too.
I saved everything.
Yep.
I had this one app on my phone. It's like this car racing game. I had millions of coins on there, and I've not spent any.
Yeah, so I mean, who knows why anybody turns out the way they do it? It's hard to say, but like I can think there's like 50 million potential reasons why.
I've noticed like one of the most destructive things that you can do to a kid is to give them everything, and then they feel totally entitled, and then they don't feel like they have to work for certain things. Don't you feel like that, in a sense, could be replicated by a government that potentially gives out too many handouts towards people, or do you think that it's a completely different thing? Because you were mentioning the education system, which I think is also different than like food stamps. Even I'm sure like, that would make sense as well, because obviously like, people need to eat and everything. But in other ways of like some sort of social security.
I mean, like there's with everything in life, there's a balance, right? you I think the goal for when you parent a kid is you're not looking to give them all the answers. You're looking to give them all the tools and all the opportunities. So a kid should still be challenged in education or challenged in life, but you want to make sure they have the appropriate tools to deal with those challenges. I mean, like, this probably applies to every single thing in life, right? Like, if you're a normal human and you're not roiding up, it's not like if you go to the gym twice a day, 7 days a week, that's going to make you even stronger, right? You're probably going to get injured. You're not going to make any gains. You're not going to, that's going to be horrible, right? So you have to balance out, like, the working out with the recovery. And I think for life, a lot of that is like kind of the same. Like some level of like tension, some level of adversity is really healthy for you because you develop a tenacity to deal with other problems later in life. You don't want to remove all adversity from children, which I think a lot of people today try to do, which is really bad. So some adversity is good, but it can't be never-ending adversity and trauma. Like I think they're called ACEs in psychology, adverse childhood experiences. Based on like the amount of like traumatic experience you've had a child, you can like make so many predictions on bad physiological outcomes, cardiovascular disease, lifespan, all sorts of things based on trauma endured as a child. So yeah, there's a balance to be struck. You can't give somebody everything, but they should have the tools to deal with like anything.
What was your experience growing up? Like your adversities?
I think I lucked out in a lot of things, but it was not the best, I guess. I don't know, but that's a very broad question. Where do you want to go?
Growing up, what do you think your biggest obstacles were?
Growing up, my mom did a home.
Fuck. Damn. What, 28 and 20? Because no, I just realized like this isn't as like resettable as I thought it was. Because you have to actually like, you know, get like the fucking Nuzlocke. Like you have to like get your guys or whatever. Okay, let me export. I mean, you don't want to run through the game with a shit fan P. Alright, can we see Slugma from the grass? That would be amazing. Oh, no way! Oh, I should have candied this guy. Thank God. Okay, we're in business. Naive? Ooh, that's kind of shit. Damn. I mean, it outspeeds slowly, but... Oh, fuck, hold on. And Spearow? Flora would have been better, but... No, I think I can get a grass on 116. Is that right? Yeah, like I really don't want to take, What's it called? I don't want to take Westboro grass. I might be stubborn about it, honestly. Carvana. Whoops. What are the ideas? Calm, but it is 29. 29. I mean, that could be way worse, right? Let me candy it. I'll do nicknames after Roxanne.
Daycare. So my mom was very much involved in raising like 12 other kids because it was a 24/7 daycare that she ran all the time. My dad was working on other stuff. He worked full time and then did. Have you ever heard of Amway?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the MLM.
Yeah. Yeah, Amway, New Vision, a lot of these like MLM things. So I was kind of like left to my own devices up until I think around like 12 or 13. Our life was like pretty decent. I didn't realize like how much debt my parents had and everything, but like we lived like a really solid middle class life. It was pretty cool. But I think when I was 12 or 13, there was an issue that came up where one of the kids in the basement, one of the boys, I think he was like 7 years old, like tried to pull the pants down of like some 5-year-old girl. Some kids do dumb shit. My mom talked to the boy's parents, and when the boy's parents heard this, they pulled the kid out of daycare and they reported my mom to CPS. And so Child Protective Services came out and they did.
Bro, what the fuck? Huge power, lonely? Bro, this guy frags. Holy shit. This guy's gonna frag. What the fuck? Do I evolve immediately for Ice Punch? Who's killing Nose Pass? Probably Carvana? Because you can... Hold on. No. It's Meryl. That's what you have. Versus Nose Pass. Oh. Yeah, this seems kind of shit, because you only have like 20 special attack. Yeah, mine is 29. This guy gets Water Pulse, right? No, I don't care about fucking detailed encounters. Carvana. It does get Water Pulse. Okay. Yeah, Carvana's our Nose Pass guy.
did a big investigation, and my parents don't do any wrong or dumb stuff like that, so they were cleared, everything was fine. But my mom was like so stressed out by that event, because CPS is like, when you're a parent, is the scariest thing in the world to have in your house, that she decided to completely quit the daycare business because she didn't want to risk anything like that ever happening, like losing her children to some crazy parent or whatever. When we quit that, we made no money. So all of our income went away. We had this very awkward dance of like being outside in the car, repo man jumping in and like taking the keys, utilities getting shut off all the time, so not knowing if there was like water, electricity. Eventually our first house got foreclosed, defaulted on the mortgage, it got foreclosed, moved to another house, rented that for a while, then got kicked out of that. My mom and sister moved to Florida, me and my dad moved to another house, rented that for a little bit, got kicked out of that. And then I eventually ended up living with my grandma in like a senior citizen apartment complex for my last 2 years of high school. And then through high school I worked, my senior year I worked as a McDonald's, and then freshman to senior year I worked as, it's called work study, where you could do like janitorial work after school for 2.5 hours to help pay for your education, basically, yeah. So that's a little bit of it, I guess.
So seeing your family lose the house, do you think that also helped you save, in the sense that like, you never know what's going to happen? If you don't spend too much, you're going to have something to fall back on.
I didn't understand. I didn't know anything about finance at the time. I had no idea.
Sure.
The way that my parents described it was like, they were, oh my God, we were only like a few payments away from owning the house. That's what they said. And I was like, wow, they got completely scammed by the bank. But now that I'm older, I haven't asked them, but my guess is they probably were drawing down on the equity of the house a lot through HELOCs or some other type of like loan against the house or something. So, yeah. But eventually, I mean, by the time I got older and I saw like how they spent money and everything, yeah, I definitely was like, when I make money, like to me, money is just freedom. That's all it is. It's the freedom to either not work or to travel or to be comfortable or whatever, and not have to worry about ever paying a bill. That's like the most stressful thing in the world, is when you're balancing, having to decide which bill to pay at the end of the month is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
When you were working as the janitorial thing, that was all throughout high school, and you stopped at senior year?
It was a work study program with my high school.
Oh,
so
got
you
it.
worked at the high school for.
So then after that, college?
My senior year of high school, I was in McDonald's for a little bit. I was very, very, very patient. I don't know why. I'm very good at dealing with like adverse people. I'm just whatever reason. And I had a very challenged customer come in and just give me a whole bunch of stupid shit. And
Talk about it. What happened?
honestly, I don't. Customers are just horrible. I've always had a dream of like going back and getting a job at McDonald's like now and just waiting
go
for the
off.
right guy to fuck my day up. Yeah, and I'm just gonna absolutely fucking unload on him and then like walk out in like a rented Ferrari or some shit and just drive away and just fucking trash this guy's. I hate customers. But anyway,
What
it was
is it about customers, though? Maybe is it just their impatience?
because they
or
have no
demanding?
respect for any person ever. For they're
But do you think that's a confirmation bias, though?
No, people are.
Maybe you're
Well,
just
no.
looking for the-
Well, no.
yeah.
To be fair, most customers aren't like this.
Yeah.
When you work in a service job, it only takes one guy to really fuck your day up. And the level of like entitlement that people have, and like the disgust that they treat service workers with, like you're a fucking slave. God, I remember my senior year in high school. I'm taking so much math, okay? And this guy at my cash register is telling his kid, if a cash register is not working, okay? If it's not working, you can't process a sale, okay? It's a whole point of sale system that tracks inventory and everything. It's not 1920 fucking 4 where the thing just does the math for you. So I tell the guy in front of me, it's a dad and his kid. I'm like, hold on, my register's down, I can't do it. And the dad's like, oh, well, the change is like 72 cents. And it's like, I'm dual enrolled taking like Calc 3 Divi Curator. I don't need you to do fucking basic math for me. And the dad goes to his kid and he's like, this is why you need to study hard at school. You don't want to wind up not knowing anything like this guy. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? That's just like one of like a million
way.
examples, okay? And I'm like, oh,
What do you say? What do you say to that? Do you pretend like you
nothing.
don't
I just
hear it?
fucking do my shit or whatever. But anyway, there was a customer who was like screaming because his like egg McMuffin wasn't coming out soon enough. Oh, here's another thing customers do. Customer will walk into a fucking restaurant, okay? And a customer will be like, I want an extra well done steak, extra well done. And then they go and they sit at a table, and then someone else comes in and they're like, oh, I want like a salad. And they'll sit down. The salad will come out in like a minute, and the extra well done steak guy will come up and he'll be like, where's my steak? That person was here after me. Why did they get their food before me? I was like, are you actually serious? You know, like time works, or? But I think at McDonald's, I think it was something like that. Like a guy ordered like a breakfast that was like 4 or 5 items. Somebody came in after them, ordered something, and they just wanted like it was like a McMuffin, or it was something really quick, or a McGriddle or something. And they got it, and then the guy came up, he started screaming like, oh, you guys always do this. You deprioritize my order, blah blah blah. I eventually got that guy's food. Whatever, I don't care. And then the next lady in line was a supervisor at a restaurant and a casino, and she was like, "Oh, you dealt with that really well. You should come work at the casino." So I put in an application there. I moved jobs to a casino that paid way better. My pay got bumped from, I think back then I was making, I want to say it was $5.15 an hour was the minimum wage. Maybe it was $5.25 an hour. So I went from that job to making $15 an hour at this casino, which was dang. I'm basically rich
Good
at this
money.
point.
Yeah. How old were you at the time?
It must have been 18 or 19.
Okay.
I ended up going to college for, I want to go to college for music. My casino job, I was really, really, really good at. I'm very extroverted. I'm very social. I knew all the workers there. I knew all the customers. And I like to be like, if I'm doing a particular thing, I like to be really good at it. So I could do everything front of house really well. I could do everything back of house really well. I could cook. I could do prep work. I could do everything. I was a really good worker. But I don't know if you figure this out at all about me. I have a problem with authority. In my mind, if I'm really good at my job and I'm doing everything really well, I should have a lot of leeway to do things in an effective manner. And I would bump heads with my management on a lot of things, on a lot of stupid things. Like one issue that I remember came up was, if you're familiar with Excel, right? Okay, Excel is a very powerful program. It's not just for fucking writing notes in a spreadsheet. You can do a lot with Excel. One thing that we would do is every single day, whoever was supervising for, it was either swing or graveyard, I think, depending on what was going on, you would get from the accounting department your cash register variances every day. And what people would do is about an hour a shift, the supervisor would go back and they would take all the variances, they would put them into a spreadsheet, then they would take all of the cash register reports, and then they would take out a calculator and they would add and subtract every single thing every day to measure up like where the variances are to see if people are missing money from their registers. This took about an hour every day. At one point, as I was getting these things, I noticed that when accounting sends these things, it's always in the exact same format. And like when an employee leaves or rejoins, they even leave like an empty space. And I'm like, oh, well, if it always comes in the exact same format, you could probably just make a spreadsheet and then just like do like the little math operations, program it in. So I figured out that like, okay, if you make these like little formulas, it took me all of like 20 minutes, it's not very complicated. Copy paste this thing in, and then you can calculate the variances in about 2 seconds. You just copy paste them in. And so I'm thinking like, oh cool, I just saved every supervisor like an hour.
Wait, hold on. Shut the fuck up, Destiny. Okay, we need Meryl. Yeah, does FanP just like own Eevee? Is that true? Hold on, let me export some of these guys. Do I really care about the save? Probably not. It's whatever. I think I have a backup save of it anyway. Dude, my glasses are hurting this side of my head. I need to go back to the store and have them adjust it or whatever. Yeah, I think FanP kind of ruins this guy. TBH. Yeah, oh wait, hold on. Oh my god. Oh, nice. Surf. Okay. Charmander. We have Meryl. That's fine. Let me just like 3-shot this guy. Cool. Oh man. Can I kill with this? I resist all of its moves. Well, we don't resist Yawn, but I mean he's taking rough skin damage. Yeah, as long as we don't get oh, this is like the last early game thing. He's making sure you get fucking battle armor on this. Oh man. Here, give me 1 second. Okay, give me a grass type. Spoink. We already have Brawly answers. Does this thing answer Jolteon? Maybe. It is thick fat. 2331. Dude, this is actually kind of insane. Holy shit. For a Spoink? I mean, that's a Blaziken answer right there. Let's grab Magikarp. Are we just out here missing? What's the deal here? What's the deal here, buddy? modest. At least it's not minus speed. I mean, it's got good bulk. And it's 22 attack. It could be worse. Right? Okay, please just give me battle armor on this. Oh no. Dude. He's getting it every fucking time. I'm scared. I just gotta... Fuck. I just gotta throw balls. Oh, we got it. Holy shit. Oh, man. Please be battle armor. Oh, it's sassy, though. Oh my god, it's so bulky. But it's sassy. No. Why is it sassy? Look, it's battle armor. These stats are fucking nuts, but it's sassy nature. This is probably a run. This is like this is a pretty good fucking run, dude. This is kind of insane. Kind of insane. The only thing I can think of is like maybe like an Ampharos. Well, it's like Ampharos and Jolteon are the only two things where I'm thinking like I might get fucked on. I gotta say, I'm like not really motivated to run up early game though. I think I'm just gonna end.